Hello, investors. I'm Stuart Kruse, and welcome to Unemployment Thursdays. Every Thursday, we get the initial jobless claims out, and since unemployment is such a crucial headline to the health of our economy, I report on this every Thursdays, but we're also going to be talking about a little coronavirus because that's in the news since we see spiking, and talking about GDP numbers really quickly. So up on the charts, I have the U.S. continued claims. We came in at 751,000 claims. Again, as a reminder, in 2007, the peak was 650. So we're still above the peak, above the worst number of the financial crisis, but still better than what was anticipated, which was 770,000 claims. And if we add the continued claims on here, this chart, you see a nice drop off down to 7.42 million, and that's down from a peak of 22 million continued claims. So we're basically at a third of the peak that we saw back in May. So this is a good number. Now, as lockdowns may start rolling out across the country, perhaps these numbers are going to start to move up. Only time will tell to see how people react. So with that said, I'm going to jump into the coronavirus just to take a look at where we're at. And if we see our total cases right now are at 8.8 million cases. And it has been said, not by me, by scientists, that for every one reported case, there are 10 unreported cases where either people were asymptomatic or low symptomatic and just did not report the case. So that would mean that 88 million people in the United States have already been exposed to the coronavirus. And out of 330 million people, that's more than a quarter of our population, in theory, has already been exposed to the coronavirus and is on its way towards healthiness. So now the big question is, how long do these antibodies last? How long does this exposure last? Now you've got to think that if 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 11 people had no symptoms, then their body isn't probably really susceptible to the coronavirus. And the people that did survive and did develop antibodies, then those people are probably pretty adept at fighting this disease as well. So even if we do have a resurgence of a new virus like we do with the flu, then the subsequent rounds should be a lot less dangerous, if you will. Now, speaking of dangerous, this line here is the death rate, the mortality rate of reported cases. But again, reported cases are 10 to 1 of actual cases. So if you see a mortality rate of, call it 2.5%, that means 0.25% of the people who have the coronavirus have passed away. And if you're healthy, that number is 0.025. So that means that if you're a healthy person, that the flu and pneumonia is more dangerous to you than the coronavirus is. Okay? These are the numbers. It's not me. It's not a political statement. I'm just reporting on sheer numbers. That's all we're talking about. And if I'm going to take off the coronavirus cases, it's going to expand this chart a little bit. You can see the cases have started to rise up to a number we had in the 73,000 range, 78,000 new cases a day. These are significant numbers, but if the mortality rate is declining, then that means this is going to pass through our society much faster at a much less dangerous rate. So if I'm going to take the new cases off, then I am going to see let's see if I can get to the mortality rate. Okay, so here are the deaths per day. So we have the cases per day going up, but deaths per day seem to be kind of holding steady at about 1,000 a day. And again, this is under heart disease and several other afflictions that we live with on a daily basis. So while coronavirus might be scary, it's not any more dangerous than things that we live with right now. So hopefully that means not as many lockdowns and not as much damage to the economy, because the damage done to the economy doesn't just save lives from people that are probably going to have to be exposed to the coronavirus anyway. It damages people that are healthy. It damages long-term damages people that are healthy. So again, not trying to be a political statement, just looking at the numbers of the economy and what is the best for the overall population of the United States. Now, I said I was going to talk about GDP numbers. I'm going to do that very quickly. Here we had a low print of negative 31%. That's an annualized rate. We didn't drop 31% of our GDP. We report annualized. So a 31% annualized rate. Now, what we came in was a 33% up side rate. And you might suggest that, hey, if we have a 31 down and a 33 up, that we're more than ahead of the game. But that's not the way these things work. Unfortunately, if you lose 10% of your money and you're down to $90, then you have to make 11% back just to get back to your 100 in order to get even. So, and the more you lose, the more you have to get back to the upside. So if you lose 50%, that means you have to make 100% of return. So if you had $100, you lost 50 bucks, then you have to double your money or make 100% return in order just to get back to your original 100. So if you're down 31%, what that means is you have to be up 45% in order to get back to your original number. And we're up 33, which is great. Still a record print, but it's not back to where we were before. It's only about 90% of those levels. And keep in mind, we had a negative 5% print here, a down 31% print here. So that means we had to get up to 65%. Oh, there goes my phone. Reminding me and everybody to be grateful. So thank you. So be grateful for everything around you and what you have. And if you've read the Viktor Frankl book of, I think it was The Meaning of Man, where he finds purpose in a concentration camp, and I'm not making a political statement, he could find purpose and gratefulness in that environment. Surely we can all find purpose and gratefulness in our current environment, find something to be thankful for. So side note, but thank you very much for your attention. And here we have GDP going down. So we needed to get back up to 65%. And we've only basically recovered 85% from this 2 negative prints to where we are. So still much better than where I thought we'd be, 85% of the way back. Coming into a fall shutdown or possibly some more restringent rules, but still way better than I thought. Okay, so this is Stuart Kruse on Unemployment Thursday, and some people live with their heart and they want to live with passion, but in order to do that and in order to live your life to the fullest, you need to live with the odds in your favor.